Hi guys, I know this is not the ideal situation to get the lesson, but I just want to make sure that you get the material and that you need. So, last class we talked about anxiety disorders, and today we'll talk a little bit about mood disorders and trauma. So, I'm going to present my screen. After you watch this, I posted the slideshow that goes with this, as well as there's going to be a Google form to fill out. There's two little scenarios and you'll just have to fill them out. Okay, so you can watch this depression YouTube video after you're done viewing this video. Just more of an explanation on depression. So mood disorders, and we are going to talk about depression more in detail than bipolar, but basically people who feel sad for long periods of time, usually it's 2 weeks or longer. There's situational sadness, and then if it can definitely develop into a longer span of sadness or depression. But so bipolar is that when we're not going to get too much into it, but it's a high and the low period. So the high or the manic or that increased energy. So a person may talk very fast, a person may not be able to sleep. And the low is going to be where a person is depressed. They may not want to leave the house. They're extremely tired. And this isn't going to happen like, where 1 minute they're on a high and the next they're depressive. It's usually over a period of time. So symptoms that come with depressive side of bipolar is also the major depression. So people get sad, they get depressed, over things, but a major depression is very serious where a person can no longer feel joy or there's no interest in their life. Some studies suggest that as many as 20% of teens suffer from major depression, and due to the COVID, there has been definitely an increase of that. And of course, with major depression, there's a link of a higher rate of suicide. So teens who are depressed may turn to alcohol or other drugs, which the problem is it's not going to help. It actually makes this matters situation worse, and that's called self-medicating. Left untreated, depression can become worse. And when I talked about the statistics last class, that there are so many people that are not getting the proper treatment or care that they need because sometimes they don't even know what's going on. If you know someone who's depressed, encourage that person to talk to a parent or other trusted adult. And depression can be managed and treated effectively, of course, through counseling, practicing mindfulness, and or medication. And I am going to give you a mindful activity to do as well. When children do feel persistent sadness and hopelessness, they may be diagnosed with depression. So again, this is persistent over a period of time. This isn't something where, a person feels sad and then, they're feeling okay the next couple days. This is the persistent, that hopelessness. It could be irritability, not wanting to do the fun things they used to do, quitting the sport that they really enjoyed for a long time, sleep and changing or change in sleeping patterns, change in eating patterns. They may even walk with a slower type of energy. They may look tired. They may sleep in classes. They may not come to school. They may start changing up friends groups. They may start to get into high-risk behaviors, self-destructive behaviors, using drugs and alcohol, feeling worthless, talking about that, feeling guilty for everything, feeling down on themselves. So some healthy coping mechanisms when it comes to depression, as well as with anxiety too, but talking to someone is important. Exercise, again, it releases those positive endorphins, the pleasure chemicals, the dopamine, circles, mindful activities, listening to music, reading a book, watching TV, playing video games, take a walk, play with an animal, and anything else that you can think of that would be healthy to help with a person's feeling of that hopefulness, not feeling so helpless. Unhealthy coping mechanisms are drugs, alcohol abuse or use, physical abuse, suicide attempts, fighting or violent situations, trying dangerous things, cutting, self-harm, eating disorders, and of course, negative self-talk. When someone is feeling very depressed, they'll get down on themselves and always feel that they're not good enough. All right, so the Google Forms that I'm going to have you fill out are similar to this thinking critically, but Carl had worked hard on his entry for the school science fair. He was sad when he did not win an award for his project. Do you think Carl was experiencing major depression? Explain your answer. So first of all, we'll look at it. Of course, Carl did not make something that, he really put effort into. He didn't win. So he's sad. Of course, we all get sad. That's a feeling that people do have. So do you think though that he is experiencing major depression? Well, if you think about it, he worked real hard and he was sad because he didn't get an award. But it doesn't say that he's been sad for a long period of time, that he stopped enjoying school or science. So he's not experiencing major depression, but he's sad. But he is sad. So there's some things that we could do to help Carl. Yes, it's okay to fail, and sometimes fail when we learn from it. We can be successful the next time, or learning to, lose at something, and that's okay. That's okay, because it may happen. So how can we help Carl? Talking to him, listening to him, maybe if he needs to talk to a counselor, because could it develop into something major? Sure. So we always want to watch that as well. Okay, now trauma is an interesting thing. So it's a group of emotional behavioral problems that may result from childhood traumatic and stressful experiences. So there's these thing called ACEs, and you're going to do an activity with this next class or a class after. And ACEs are adverse childhood experiences, and most children do have some, but there are really serious ones too, that if a child isn't getting proper help or for them, that it can definitely go into their adulthood, and it can cause problems, of course. So this is anything from abuse, neglect, any type of assault, bullying, and this definitely can impact a child in the future. So persistent, frightening thoughts, memories, or flashbacks of that event. Dissociation. So basically what happens is they just kind of pull themselves away, the feeling as if the traumatic event is happening at the moment, but they disassociate from that. Sometimes though, when we talk about trauma, or they see something that triggers it, it can put them back in that same spot. That's why it's very tough to talk about trauma sometimes. And a lot of times young kids especially, they have blocked that out, so they don't want to talk about it. They don't sometimes even think, they don't know why they're acting like that because they don't remember. But hypervigilance, always looking over their shoulder, always being aware of what's around, school avoidance, not wanting to go to school. Maybe it was because of bullying or something going on at school. Disciplinary issues. So they act out at school so they can go home. Avoidance of certain places or situations. Depression. So anything like with the physical, and we talked about this with anxiety, depression, but the anxiety, the headaches, the stomach aches, chest pain, that could be the fast breathing. Regression. So this is where a child who may have already done something and made it past that, like for example, like potty training. Okay, they may regress. This is for younger kids, and they may start to wet their pants again. Suck their thumb. Okay, these are things when it comes to trauma. Recurrent distressing dreams or sleep problems, irritability, or angry outbursts. Okay, so I'm not going to read through all these because this is going to be on the slides, and I want you to look through them, but some tips, and I think I put 4 or 5 tips, but get moving. Exercise is always great. Mindfulness is always a good thing to do as well. Don't isolate. Obviously, talking to someone about the trauma. Sometimes It's important that if a friend is bringing something up, don't force it. Let them come, to you, but don't ask them and over again, like, what's wrong? Why do you feel this way? Asking for support and reconnecting with old friends, talking with old friends, that's important. So mindful breathing, this is important to do that, taking time to, just focus on, what is going on, and understanding that it will get better, and it does get better. Sensory input, staying grounded, and allow yourself to feel what you feel. It's okay to feel that way. It's okay to not feel good sometimes. But it does get better. And take care of your health. Make sure you're getting plenty of sleep, eating good, well-balanced meals, avoiding, too much sugar and fried foods. It can keep a person up as well. But also to avoiding alcohol and drugs. That is going to make the situation worse because it doesn't help with sleep and reduce stress. Okay, so these situations, and again, Larry and Ernesto is the Google form that I am also adding on here that you're going to do after. So with the note sheet, and I'll have post that again if you wanted to file, make a copy, or if you have it, a hard copy of the note sheet, then you can take that as well. There's extras on the front desk, or I think on my cart. So grab a hard copy if you want that, okay? So don't forget to watch that depression video, and I'll see you soon. Bye.